Cricket isn't just a game in India, it's practically a way of life, bringing together folks from all walks of life in one big, passionate community. And when the Indian Premier League rolls around, it's like a nationwide celebration. Sure, it's about cricket, but it's also about so much more. It's the ultimate fusion of cricket, excitement, and brand presence, a vibrant rendezvous where fans mingle with their favorite brands, leaving a lasting imprint. Amongst these brands stands one of India's most iconic and largest makers of biscuits and confectionery products, Parle. Founded in 1929, Parle has been on a journey from being a small confectionery and candy shop to becoming a household name not only in India but also across the globe. Hello and welcome to JioCinema Brand Spotlight in partnership with Storyboard18. I am your host Delshad Irani. To help us understand how Parle is making a splash this IPL season, we have with us Mayank Shah, VP of Parle. Hello and welcome to Storyboard18. Mayank, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me on the show.
So, exciting season coming up, IPL, of course, everyone always looking forward to it. As much as the game, people also look forward to the advertising that we see on the IPL. So, tell me, Mayank, what is the crux of your advertising strategy this year when it comes to the Indian Premier League? And then we'll talk a little bit about the creative campaigns that you have coming up.
Yeah. So, as we all know, I think, IPL today in India is what Super Bowl is in US. And normally you don't use IPL as a medium to advertise or do sustenance advertising. It's a very big platform and typically it's used to come up with an impact campaign, or you're talking about, either a big launch or a big, I would say, repositioning kind of thing. Unless you're not looking at that, it doesn't make sense because, you would not be using it as any other medium or any other program to advertise on. So, sustenance is clearly out that way. So, what happens of late, that's something that we've seen in last few years, companies put in efforts to make communication specifically for IPL. Not just that, they also, when you talk about releasing big campaigns or big launches, time it around IPL.
Yes.
If you look at our campaign, the objective behind our campaign is to position Parle as a branded house rather than house of brands. We have multiple brands, we have 50 plus brands and quite a few of them are big star brands. So, you talk about Parle G, Crack Jack, Monaco, Hide and Seek, household names.
Iconic, absolutely.
Yeah. So, people know them, consumers know those brands, but very few of consumers tied back to the corporate brand Parle. And when you talk about the magnificence or grandeur of corporate brand Parle, somehow it doesn't get its due because people don't relate back all these brands to Parle. That's something that we realized over a period of time, and around 17-18 we started an initiative in terms of having campaigns, work on packaging and other thing, so as to ensure that Parle gets its due. The corporate brand Parle gets
the mother brand, yes, yes.
It started in 17-18 and to progressively take it forward after 2 campaigns that we did since then. This is the 3rd campaign, a new campaign to talk about how these brands are coming from the house of Parle. All the attributes or values which are typically associated with Parle, be it the trust that consumers have, or be it the variety that we have, be it the quality that we are known for, or even the innovations that we have done over a period of time, they have been beautifully weaved in this particular campaign. Given that, we straddle across multiple categories, we are into biscuits, we are into confectionery, we are into traditional namkeens, western snacks, bakery items, and very lately we have got into staples, we have Parle Ji Atta, and even breakfast cereals. So, given that we straddle across, or corporate brand Parle straddles across so many categories, it makes huge sense for us to have a branded house rather than be a house of brands.
What was the brief to the agency? It doesn't sound like a very easy brief for the agency. Were there multiple agencies involved or was it just one that you worked with for this particular season and the campaign that's going to run? But I'm just trying to imagine, putting all those brands, again, such familiar brands into one campaign, it can't be easy.
Yes.
Tell me about the brief.
Yeah. So the brief was, to showcase, as I shared earlier, Parle as a corporate brand, or rather, branded house, and tie back all the brands which we are known for to corporate brand Parle. Now, while that was to be done, it was expected, and that was the brief, that it should be done in a nice, humorous and witty way. It shouldn't be done, typically when you look at corporate campaigns, they're very serious.
Yes.
The tonality is very serious. We wanted it to be, humorous and witty, and that's something that, really works with a platform like IPL. People or consumers or viewers look forward to some really crazy advertising.
Entertainment.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was the brief, that we need to do it in a very light-hearted, humorous, and a witty way, and that's what agency came back with. There was only one agency which was briefed. We briefed it to an agency called Fundamental, and they came back with this particular campaign. And while we wanted them to do this campaign, we also wanted them to weave in the values or attributes that the brand is known for. So as I just shared, that Parle is known for quality, it's known for its legacy, it's known for the trust that consumers have in our brand, it's known for the variety, it's known for innovations that we have done over years, be it cheeseling, be it crackjack, be it hide and seek, very innovative products, or be it hide and seek creme, where you have a cookie and a cream together. So people know us for the kind of innovations that we've done. So these are the attributes and values which are associated with corporate brand Parle. How can we bring them about in our communication in a nice, fun way? And that's what I think they, were able to deliver it very well. So they came back with this nice campaign, a very humorous and a witty one, where typically when it starts, you would expect it to be some serious thing, and then it ends up, in a very humorous or a witty way.
So that's another interesting aspect of it, right? Because what you mentioned about using humor. Now we all know, and you sort of drew a comparison with the Super Bowl, and that again is something that is a key part. You either have very serious campaigns that are really sort of pulling at your heartstrings, or you have something that's just like you're rolling on the floor laughing. Tell me, in the given sort of there's so much sort of content. I'm calling it content, but I also mean advertising, right? Around the IPL, how do you sort of make sure that your creative stands out, right? Like the film with the safari, for instance, it's short, it's tight, it's a very quick ad film. How do you think it will resonate with audiences, today, and the viewers that we have on the IPL today?
So firstly, I think there are 2-3 things, which are given when you're working on a campaign for IPL. You cannot have long duration, creatives.
In the spirit of the tournament, it has to be.
Has to be, yeah. So, we're talking about bite size or snacking content or ads. So typically, I think on the outer side, you can look at probably a 20-second, nothing beyond that. Lesser the better. My understanding or my personal opinion is that, you require a longer format to establish those emotions. You need to give it enough breathing in terms of if you're talking about, showing somebody emoting to a particular feeling or something like that. So to pack it in 20 seconds becomes really difficult. The best bet that you have when you are advertising on IPL, and if you really want to get noticed, is to be really, humorous or witty. That's one. Secondly, not just, humorous or witty, it has to be very different. It has to be clutter breaking. Now, I can be humorous, but so are many other ads. How can it be clutter breaking? I mean, something that's really unexpected. Of course, humor and wittiness has to be there. But beyond that, I think it should be, clutter breaking, as in something that's not expected out of an ad like this.
Or a brand like that.
Or a brand like that.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about Parle, talking about, its corporate campaign, the last thing that you would expect is something that's, very witty and humorous, one. And secondly, the kind of unexpected turn of event during, the commercial. So one of the commercials, talks about a secret service, agency, and they're talking about whom to send, and the next thing that you hear is, something really very humorous or witty, something that would never have been expected, by viewers. So I think that was the trick. That's just one example, but you see that across all the 5 commercials that we have made, which bring about, every aspect. So the one that I talked about talks about the trust that consumers have. to someone else, some other creative that talks about the stain, talks about the quality. If you talk about the Langur one or, the Safari one,
Variety.
it talks about variety. So, every creative talks about one aspect or one attribute of value that brand is known for.
You see a lot of funny ads, and you want to make it shareable as well. And is that also something that you think about, Mayank? Because, how do you make your ads shareable?
Yeah.
And I think that would come from, the humor aspect of it and really sort of getting it really relevant. Has that been a challenge for you this time?
Not really, because I think, some of these things, they lend beautifully to amplifying, them in different mediums. So, if you're talking about, amplifying this communication digitally, we have plans to do that, and, they lend beautifully to it. So, if I have to talk about the first campaign that we did in 16-17, again on IPL, we broke that campaign on IPL. नाम तो सुना ही होगा, and it says तुम्हें तो ये भी नहीं मालूम कि this and this thing are made by Parle. It got so much viral that we had at every given opportunity people talking about if somebody says I never knew about this, Pat came the reply saying that हाँ तुम्हें तो ये भी नहीं मालूम Parle ये और ये करता है. Of course out of place, but that's something people catch on to, and it becomes part of your day-to-day communication, part of your lingo.
When it comes to this sort of big game ad feel, as a marketer, give me a personal view on it. I love the fact that you mentioned the Super Bowl, and how do you then see the IPL platform then, and given everything that you can do now with all the possible ways you can disseminate your content, now digital of course, so there's a lot of room to play. So how do you sort of get that big game ad feel, and give me a marketer's perspective on it?
So if we talk about IPL as a property, I think it's nothing less than what Super Bowl is to US. And one of the reasons why I say so is because this is probably the only platform in India which gives you an opportunity to reach pan-India. Cricket, when I say IPL, I'm saying cricket. Because typically if you talk about movies, you have regional movies.
Right.
So while you may try to do something in and around Bollywood, but that's so much HSM market, Hindi speaking markets. If you do something around Tamil cinema or Telugu cinema, that's very south centric or whatever. The only thing that, so while we may say that cricket and movie are religion in India, movie still is probably very regional. Cricket has a pan-India appeal.
Universal.
It's universal. So when you are looking at a platform like IPL, what you are assured by default is an all India reach. Then you are not looking at only a certain part of India. Normally that's what happens when you are doing something else. You go on the best show on a GEC, you buy spots there. You're still reaching to that particular regional market or Hindi speaking market if you're talking about the Hindi GEC. But when you're talking about IPL, you're reaching pan India. And the best part is that you can reach them in their language, because you have different feeds of different languages, which makes it real, even more interesting and even more,
personalized in that sense. Yes, yes. Do you also look forward to other brands and their ads, and
yeah, absolutely. So I think
taking something back from that?
Yeah. So I think, as I shared earlier, I think this is a big platform, and today, unlike earlier in the few earlier years, when people used it as one more medium or one more platform to reach to consumers, I think people now plan around this event. So you make campaigns for IPL. It's not that you have made a campaign and now you will look at an opportunity and say, okay, IPL is a good opportunity, let me. No, it's not that. You make campaigns to be aired on IPL. If you have something really big, if you're looking at a big launch, if you're looking at repositioning, if you are talking about a big campaign, you like to break it on IPL and try and tailor it so that you can launch it on IPL. That's how IPL is treated today. It's not like one more medium or one more platform to reach consumers, and that makes it interesting. So you craft your communication to be on IPL, and that makes it so while everybody puts their best foot forward, your best of the communication or campaigns coming up, it becomes really interesting to look forward to it and check out who's doing what, and it also gives you an opportunity to look at some really good work coming out.
One last question before we sign off, Mayank. Is it difficult to break through that clutter when it comes to the IPL, because we've seen like the game has evolved, of course, everyone's ad game has also evolved. You know, things are getting very interesting on the advertising front. We're seeing all these young agencies doing some really clutter breaking work, whether you like it or don't like it, you know. Mother brand like Parle, again with so many household brands under the umbrella, does it become sort of a challenge to break through that clutter? You know, how far can you push with your humor? Is that something that you've thought about?
I think more than, you know, our brand, I think that's a challenge, you know, in front of every brand who's looking at advertising on IPL. Because you cannot have your run-of-the-mill or regular advertising happening on IPL, because then you would be lost. When you are buying such a premium property, there's a huge amount of premium also associated with advertising. I think if you're talking about, you know, in typical advertising matrix, CPRPs and stuff like that, you are paying, you know, really 4x, 5x of what you probably would be paying on a top rated show on a GEC. But when you are doing so, ideally, you know, you would expect that, you know, the communication that you are coming up with or you're putting on it is definitely the best one. And it has to be, you know, registered, or it should leave a lasting impression with, you know, viewers. If that, you know, is what you are looking at, then it has to be clutter breaking. And that's a challenge not just ahead of us, but for every marketeer or any advertiser who wants to be on IPL.
Absolutely, absolutely. And while we were talking earlier, before the camera started rolling, we also spoke about how you sometimes show your family and kids campaigns as well. And, you know, so have you showed them the latest one that's coming?
Yeah, so I shared with them and they quite liked it. So, you know, as I shared, I think, you know, it's Gen Z, younger generation, they have a very different take on advertising. And, you know, while if you talk about digital content or emotional, longer duration commercials or content, while some of us may like it, or in fact, most of us like it, and we, you know, love to consume that kind of content. Somewhere what I've seen is, or what I observed is that the younger generation, you know, relies more on, you know, shorter duration content. They like, you know, content which is snacking in nature, you know, typically 6-second bumpers to probably a 10 or 15-second.
Get that laugh immediately, get that reaction immediately.
I think they are short on patience.
And mobile only generation, right?
Only generation.
So completely different ball game.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great note to end our conversation on, Mayank. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing this insightful perspective on the IPL's marketing landscape. It's been a truly enlightening conversation. Stay tuned for more engaging discussions and brand spotlights on JioCinema in partnership with Storyboard18. Thank you.